Hey gang, so today we're going to give you an update on this new Aerostich Darien jacket that I purchased a little while ago. Because I just got back from my first long trip using this jacket. I was out on a 9-day trip from here in Massachusetts down to Virginia and back home again. And during that time I got to ride in a range of temperatures from about 40 degrees up to 90 degrees. Now let me say that overall I was very pleased with the way that the jacket performed on this trip. But there are some things that I needed to get used to, just like anything that's new. One of those things is this pocket right up here that's on the right sleeve. Now I think this is a cool feature on this jacket. And so I thought that rather than stick my key fob and my earplugs down in my left pant pocket like I normally do, a cool place to put those things would be in this sleeve pocket. Be much easier to get to those things that I need all of the time on a trip. And that was true. It is much easier to get to. However, I had to get used to how this pocket functions. It has basically two sides to it. The zipper goes down the center, and so things can get a little lost in there on one side or the other. And there was a time when I had stopped and I knew that I put my key fob in this pocket, but I'm reaching in here and I cannot find it. Well, what happened is it got stuck down here in this far corner and the key fob is kind of flat. So as I was putting my hand in like this, I was just brushing right over it, didn't feel it. Well, after freaking out and looking everywhere else, I finally used my other hand to go in there, and I was able to find it. So that just showed me that I need to be a little bit more patient, and if I can't find it on one side, well, then it's gonna be stuck over somewhere on the other side. So after that, again, it was no big deal, but I had to, I guess, go through that to get used to using this pocket. Now, another thing that I had to get used to was the collar up here. The collar is very high and it really helps when the temperatures are cold. I left New York, for example, and temperatures were 40 degrees when I finally got on the road. So I had this collar all nice and buttoned up. But it is a little stiff, right? It's a new jacket, so I know that it's a heavy-duty Cordura. I have to get used to that thickness of the material, and also I have to let things loosen up a little bit. So it loosened up a little bit by the end of the trip, but at first it was bothering my neck a little bit. I guess my Adam's apple is a little big, even though you can't see it with this beard. I was getting some irritation in there. So I had to learn how to fasten this collar to make it nice and comfortable for me. I learned that rather than pulling this strap all the way over here and making it really tight, I was better off just to leave it loose like it is, as you see here, and then I was more comfortable in the neck area. So again, that's just something I had to get used to. So another thing to get used to is this gutter system that they have. I didn't get to use the jacket in the rain, so I can't really give you any feedback on that. Thankfully, we had 9 days of sunshine going down there and back again. Not like last year when I rode, where it rained almost every day. But on this trip it was great, so I didn't get to use this as far as that goes. But I did have to get used to buttoning this jacket up, right? There's a lot of gutter in here to deal with, so you kind of have to make sure that it doesn't get in front of your Velcro here. So you have to make sure that's over there, and then everything gets buttoned up nice and tightly, especially when it's cold. I found that to be the most issue down at the bottom, where I was having trouble getting this bottom secured. So I just have to be aware of that, get used to it, and again, I'm sure things will loosen up again as the jacket ages. Now, another thing to get used to is that this jacket is not a very good cold weather jacket. It's just basically the Gore-Tex liner and Cordura. There is no mesh liner inside it, right, to keep this Gore-Tex off of your skin or directly off of your torso, your shirt, and so forth. So I found that in cold weather, this jacket didn't insulate very well at all. I felt the cold coming through even at around 60 degrees. I found that at 62, 63 degrees and below, I needed to have some kind of liner in there. Right, so normally with my climb jackets, I really probably didn't need that until, in the 50s, right? 55, 50 degrees, something like that. But with this jacket, I need the liner sooner. So again, around that 63 degrees or so, I had to go out and get me a down liner and put that in here, right, to help keep myself warm. Now, I admit that I like to be warmer. I'm not somebody who likes to be cold, right? Other people may like the fact that it allows you to be cooler in those kind of temperatures, but again, for me, I want to maintain my body temperature a little bit higher. It's just how I'm comfortable. Now, in pointing that out, let me say that this is the way that the jacket is designed, right? It's a Cordura outer layer with that Gore-Tex membrane fused to it. So it's designed to prevent you from getting some road rash, but then prevent you from getting wet, right? It is not made to be a four-season jacket and so forth. To accomplish that, you need to go out and have liners that you put in. So for me on this trip, I carried my heated liner, right, one that I plug into the bike, and when the temps were again in the 40s to that 60 degree range, then I was using my heated liner again at various settings, right, turning it up a little bit when it was colder, turning it down again as I approached that 60 degree range. When I got into the 60s, then I could get out in just a small down, puffy jacket kind of liner and then use it and be very comfortable. Again, typically from that 60 to 70 degree range. After that, then I could pull the liners out and I was more comfortable, right, in just the jacket by itself. Now in hot temps, because I did get to ride this in 70, 80, and 90 even degree temperatures, yeah, I found the jacket to work quite well. It doesn't have as much ventilation as something like my old climb jackets did, but again, I found it to be pretty good. I just unzipped the pit vents, the vent in the back, and then I opened up the collar and allowed air to come in that way, and I was very comfortable even again in 90 degree temperatures. So that was very encouraging for me. I didn't know how this jacket that feels pretty heavy was going to do in those hotter temps. Now of course I only had to do that for a couple of days, so we'll see what it's like when I really get riding in hotter temps, in the 100 degree range. But so far, I was very encouraged that I'm able to adapt this jacket, again, to that wide range of temperatures. Now, when I decided to get this Hi-viz color on this jacket, some people warned me that it was going to get pretty dirty and pretty grungy and fade quite a bit. And I can see that that is definitely going to be the case. Just riding down here on this trip, 4 days down, 3 days back, this jacket is pretty darn filthy. All up around the collar, on the sleeves, in the chest, where you're getting hit with road grime. When you see this kind of thing, you realize just how much dirt that you deal with riding a motorcycle, right? If you wear black jackets, you don't notice it all that much, but getting a lighter color like this, man, you can really tell how much stuff you get hit with. So this is something that I'm going to have to clean a lot or just live with it being grungy. Now, personally, I think that the grungier and the dirtier it looks, the better, because that means that I'm out riding and out using it. When I was in the martial arts, we used to take our black belts and we wanted them to be, frayed and, grungy looking, because that meant that you had time and grade and you've been tying that belt over and over and over again. And that's kind of the way that I look at my motorcycle equipment, right? Yes, I want it to look nice, but, I realize that getting out there and riding means that I'm going to get dirty and things are going to get scuffed up and damaged, and that just shows that I have been out there riding and having a great time. Now, as far as looks goes, let me talk about one more thing. And we talked about this when I bought the jacket, that this is pretty much, it's a tool, right? It's not designed to be a fashion apparel. It's designed to be a tool to use, right, to go out and travel and tour. Right, so for some people, they're not going to like some features of this jacket, again, because of that. And one of them being that the way that the armor is attached to the inside of this jacket is done with Velcro, which works really good for, you know, moving it around and getting it exactly where you want it. But you can see here that you can see the outline of the Velcro that's been glued to the inside of the jacket. And especially up here where it's kind of dirty, you can see it there, right? You can see it over here. So anywhere where you have that Velcro that is, again, glued to the inside of the jacket, you're going to be able to see the outline of it through, right, the outer material. Again, whether that bothers you or not, you know, it's just up to you. If you're looking for something that is going to be more stylish and so forth, well, an Aerostich is probably not the thing that you want to go with, right? You're going to want to go with something else. You know, again, for me, I don't know that it bothers me all that much. Again, I realize what the jacket is, the purpose that I bought it for, so I overlook those kinds of things. All right. Now, one last thing before we're done here, and I just want you to be aware of this if you're looking to get an Aerostich, right, that you be aware, right, because we have already talked about how it doesn't have a mesh liner like most of the other, you know, high production jackets do, the climbs and so forth out there. So when you open up the vent right here, it's just wide open. There's no mesh screen there that is going to prevent things from flying in there like bugs and so forth. And while I never had a problem with any of that while I was riding, you know, there are some people who might not like that. They may want that mesh protection. So again, make sure that you know that these vents are wide open, right? There is no mesh lining that is going to prevent, you know, big things from flying in there. All right, so I guess that's it. As I said, overall, this jacket did really well going down there. I was really happy with it, other than those things that I have to get used to. I love these big pockets in the front, you know, here, that I could stash things in. My phone, for example, when I was going inside. Although I also put my phone on this interior pocket here. That way, if it did rain, it's going to be safe. I use that quite a bit. Overall, said it really worked well. I love that pocket down here once I figured out things can get lost in there. So that's it. I'll let you know. I'm going to take it to Alaska now, and I will give you an update on how all of that goes as we're out there traveling. All right, guys. See you later. Ride safe. Keep squeezing your lemon. Oh, wait a minute. Before I go, I guess I should comment on the Hi-viz, right? Because, you know, I have been not critical, but I've questioned how much Hi-viz really helps, right, to keep us safer. So while I've been wearing this, I've noticed a few times when, yes, I think people have noticed me, and partially it could be from the Hi-viz and also from my big yellow lights that I have on my bike. On the other hand, I have had a few times when people have pulled out anyway. I know they see me and they go out anyway. So kind of up in the air on how much this is really affecting how other people drive and behave, right? Are they seeing me better? I'm sure they are, right? But are they behaving differently? Well, I can't prove it one way or the other.